How's it going, everybody? It's Stock Picks by Tim here, and I've got 5 medical stocks slash genomics, I guess, that you should put on your radar. I've talked about these before, but all 5 of these, honestly, I think they're at a great time to dip your toes in at the very least. Now, I don't recommend you just go out and buy all 5 of these. I do recommend you stay diversified, but don't spread yourself too thin. Maybe pick a couple of these that you like and do a little bit of research and just go from there. Now, first off, I want to talk about Senseonics, S-E-N-S. And this one does have an FDA catalyst coming. Okay, and I'm going to give you a quote here from Tim Goodnow, the CEO, and I'm just going to read it really quick here. So he said, "We understand that the FDA is at full capacity managing the backlog of COVID-19 related filings, creating longer than expected review timelines. We are confident a decision regarding approval of the 180-day system," this is their CGM, continuous glucose monitoring device. Okay, so that is in the FDA backlog. It was delayed. They were going to get it figured out end of 2021. Sure enough, delayed. Just like almost all of these that I'm going to talk about here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, they do expect a decision here in the coming weeks, according to Tim Goodnow. So that should send Senseonics flying. But be aware that this is a polarizing catalyst, meaning if they get approved, stock price, I mean, we're here at 250. I feel like it can very likely double where it's at if they do get approved for this. Now, if they don't get approved, however, we can very, very easily see this dipping under 2, maybe even further. They are currently selling their CGM device in Europe, so they are making revenue from that. But it's just something to think about. This isn't just this is basically an all or nothing. However, I am long-term on Senseonics. I do believe in their product. And I think the tech, it's very innovative tech. And honestly, if you have the patience, I think this is a great potential long-term hold. And I mean long-term, like 5-year hold. I think this can be the type of stock where if you just hold it, you'll be very, very glad you did over 5 years. Okay, instead of getting a double up, triple up, whatever it may be, you could be looking at 10x over 5 years. That's just my speculation, however. You got to do your own research, but this is what I'm thinking. You want to find a solid stock that you believe in and just hold it as long as you can. Hold on for dear life, hodl, until the story changes. If something just goes bad with the company, sure. But if it's a solid company, you don't have to feel the need to get out of it to get into something else. Of course, if you think the valuation has changed, valuation became too high, had a huge hype run up, that kind of thing makes sense. Okay, I understand wanting to sell something. But if it's a solid stock, if it's, for instance, my Indie, this is one that I think about just if I can hold all my Indie shares for 5 years, warrants, hold the warrants for a couple years, exercise them eventually, hold my shares for 5 years, I feel like I will be very glad that I did with a stock like Indie. Same thing with Senseonics. This is the type of stock you just want to hold long and just be patient. Hold on to it. There's no reason to sell a winning stock. But that's basically Senseonics. I think it's at a great price right here. We have dipped down to like 250 range before getting bought up real quick. There's just a lot of fear in the market right now. We ran up close to 4, a little over 4, and then have just been selling off since December into January. Kind of a little bit of sideways action here, like 250 to about 3, just jumping around. I think it's at a great time to accumulate and just slowly add in on Senseonics. However, the MACD is looking a bit bearish, and the RSI is pointing down, coming down towards that oversold. So you might see it come down a little more Friday. But that's Senseonics. All right, next up, I want to talk about AQST, or Aquestive Therapeutics. I am still holding on to this one. Of course, the FDA did delay their decision. Right here, we had all this hype right near new highs, right at about 630 is their high. So we came up, tested these highs, dropped. This was actually the Omicron. This was Omicron right here, if I'm correct. I believe this was Omicron that caused this sell-off. And then we came right back, retested. And then sure enough, we just sold off. Came back up to retest right up near that FDA date, end of December, hyping up to that last day. I believe it was December 23rd was supposed to be the decision. But sure enough, they did delay it. The FDA delayed it into Q1 of 2022. So we are expecting that soon. Same with Senseonics, okay? Now, I think it's a great time to get into Aquestive. But just like Senseonics, this is another kind of a polarizing event. Either they're going to get approved or they're not. But I think at the price, there's more upside than downside either way. I mean, even if they don't get approved, I think there's not as much downside as there would have been if we were up here at 6. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We're about half off from where we were. So I think Aquestive is another solid one to just continue to average in. I think this could potentially come down a little more, test that $3 range. I think it's great to buy in, and if you want to just play it short term, you could just start slowly adding here and wait for it to hit about $5 before starting to just kind of trim some profits along the way, just to mitigate some risk if they do not in fact get the FDA trial approved. So that's my thoughts on AQST. I think it's a solid stock at this price, and it's another one you should put on your watch list. Alright, and next up here I have GNPX or genprex. Now I don't currently have a position of this, and this was actually recommended of me to talk about. I did this in a previous video. They have their FTD, fast track designation for the FDA, which means that their trial is just it's gonna be a speedy trial. It's gonna be a speedier trial, so we should get that approval or denial a lot sooner than expected. Okay, so that's what this is all about here. All this hype running up, that was the news that the FDA decided to grant them FTD, fast track designation, meaning that it's just going to be a faster process essentially getting approved. So this ran up quite a bit. We ran up a little over 3, and then we just kind of started selling off, getting that like second wave of hype and momentum, selling off a little more. I think it's a great time to start averaging in. Okay, I'm not going to go all in at this price. I'm going to be planning to buy a little bit of this genprex, GNPX. I don't have a position yet, but I think now's the time to get in. When I was told about this one, it was already right around this range, just like, you know, hitting new highs, going crazy. I wanted to wait and kind of see what was going to happen here. I think it's starting to kind of level out. We did hit this right here before bouncing. We're hitting it again, going a little lower. Looking at RSI, we're getting towards oversold. We may come down a little bit more, test maybe 180 or so. I'm comfortable adding at this price, just adding very small, starting out my position here, and then seeing how it goes in the next couple weeks, just kind of averaging in here and there, building out a small position. I'd likely keep this to about 1, maybe 2% of my portfolio. It is a risky stock, of course. It is completely dependent on the FDA approval, because this is a pre-revenue company, so you have to be aware of that. But that's GNPX. This does have $5 price targets from analysts. I'm going to give it a $4 price target. Okay, I think the hype can lead into this one. We can get some hype on this one, and we can work our way back towards the 350s, towards 4. And that doesn't regard an approval or not. I'm just saying the hype leading up to this. We kind of do need the right market, though. Right now, the sentiment has been all out of whack. Any good news, like SoFi, for example, getting the bank charter, I mean, it ran up nice, but you would have expected it to run up even more. So we're just in that type of environment where good news really doesn't affect a stock as positively as it would in a nice bull run. So that's one thing to consider. But I will place this at a $4 price target. And that's regardless of if we do get approved or not. That's just the hype that I can see coming into this one. So potential double up in my opinion from here. Although we do kind of need the right situation. We do need like a little burst of some euphoria coming in. Next up, I want to talk about Cassava Sciences, or Sava stock, SAVA. Now this is one that I have gotten into and then I have previously gotten out of. We did run up here to that like $80-$90 range. I started selling right around 70 up to 80, and then that's when I just exited the position completely. I just exited out of this one. Haven't gotten into it. Honestly, I kind of forgot about it, kept it on the back burner. There was the shareholder lawsuit, so that caused a huge drop. Earnings wasn't great. Their EPS was worse than expected. Pre-revenue as well, just like GNPX. So there is risk to this one, of course. But I think at its price, if you're willing to take that bet, if you're willing to take that risk, I think it is a great time to get in. And if we do get that previous run like we had, it's not 100%, but if we do get that previous run, we're looking at about a double up from here. Yeah, it looks like we're oversold on the RSI. We are bearish on the candles up here. Okay, we are bearish, failing to hold any of the EMAs. And just be aware though, we hit this 35 before gapping up, running back up. So this, I think, is a great time to just slowly add. I might just add a couple of shares and just let it ride, do its thing here. Possibly even some calls. Just kind of as a YOLO play, like 40 something dollar calls, 40, maybe $50 calls. We'll see about that on Friday. But that's basically it for Cassava Sciences. I don't have this anymore. I did have this previously, have since gotten out, but it does look like a juicy deal where it's at. Now next up is bngo, bionano genomics, or bngo. This is a genomic stock, as you can tell by the name, and we are continuing in a downtrend. Now we're looking at a market cap right around, what was it, like 660 million, 600 million. Market cap looking very good at this price. At our highs, we were right around like 3 billion, if I remember right. Something like around 3 billion when it was like trading at $14, $15. Right now, I mean, the risk to reward is looking great. Can this come down further? Sure, it can definitely come down, test $2. But to me, even though this is still kind of in a downtrend, still a falling knife, I think this is a great time to buy bngo. Okay, this is one genomic stock that I'm extremely bullish on. And looking at it from the technicals, we're very near oversold. And candles up here, though, are bearish. We're unable to hold. And that's basically the running theme with a lot of these small caps is we have just been on a continued downtrend, constant falling knives on almost all of these. So just be careful out there, guys. If you're short term, if you're looking more for trading, look for that reversal before getting in. But, you know, if you're a long-term investor, I think bngo, bionano genomics, is a great stock to buy right now. Okay, and I've been continuing to just average into this one. I think it's a fantastic deal. And looking at this from a 5-year perspective, I think we're going to look back and miss this level. We're going to miss buying in the 2s, 3s, even 4s, even 5s, I mean, for that matter. But that's bngo. I think it's a solid one. Definitely want to have more diversification than just say EVs or semiconductors, tech. You know, you want some medical stocks, you want maybe some financials, a little mix of this and that. Now, don't overextend yourself. Keep some cash on the side. Can't stress that enough, especially in this environment. But that's basically it. 5 medical stocks for you to keep an eye on. I do have most of these, not all, but they are all looking like a juicy buy at this current price. Looking at them from a long-term perspective, specifically bngo, Senseonics, Aqst even. Now they are, of course, FDA catalysts. The first few were FDA catalyst stocks, so just be aware of that. There is definitely risk with these ones. I'd say of all of these, I'd probably say the least risky would be, in fact, bngo. Okay, they don't necessarily have an FDA catalyst to worry about. Okay, so it is kind of less risky in that regard. And from a price standpoint, we're at a 52-week low. And the good thing also about bingo is there's more and more articles about them just helping different hospitals, helping different companies learn to use their OGM or optical genome mapping device. So the more professionals that know how to use this, the more and more demand a machine like the OGM, optical genome mapping, will have, the Sapphire system. The more that they know how these work, the more that this company will be utilized. But that's basically it. Keep an eye on these 5 stocks. Thanks as always, guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I put out videos every day. Check out the links below for some free stocks and free cryptos. And thanks again, and I'll see you next time.